We're live. What is up, world? Boom! Here we are, kicking off another. This is going to be a live podcast recording, so we'll let everyone kind of get in here. But today we're going live with a special guest. I mean, this gentleman's been in the game. I've been hearing about him since I was a little Padawan. Just
Come on now.
It's a life of service, a life of doing warrior-centric service, man. So it's an absolute honor, Craig Sawyer, Sawman. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. How you doing, sir?
Hey, brother. It's a privilege to be on. I'm looking forward to a great chat here.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And for those of you who don't know, the Sawman has a background in the Marine Corps, Navy SEAL Team 6, I believe. Operated overseas, doing some ODA work as well. He's been on all your favorite talk shows, talking about anti-terrorist stuff and some TV shows as well. So he's been really contributing to this game for a while, man. So, this is going to be a good one to sit back, learn, and he's going to be our keynote speaker at this upcoming Protector Symposium 5.0. So that is something you guys got to look out for as well. I believe the link is in the show notes if you guys want to join us for that. So awesome. Yeah, how you been doing out there? How's life? How's the operations?
We just got back from Florida where we filmed the entire first season of our new talk show, live studio audience, TV talk show, Defending Our Children. That's going to be a mainstream production. Wow. We've got the upcoming documentary series. It's going to be really, punch you right in the face, hard-hitting documentary series. But the TV show is going to be much more mainstream to reach people that we can't reach with the docuseries, with the radio show, and the other things that we do. Man, we're out blasting the truth out because there's so much censorship over the topic that we're out to expose. So we have to really be aggressive to get around the media gatekeepers. They do not want the people to know what's happening.
That's awesome. And I feel like, I don't know if it was you or if I was talking with Baz about this, but I think exposure, man, is such a powerful tool because a lot of these entities or individuals or organizations, those who are involved in these dark ops have so much kind of top cover because from what I've heard, it's hard to get to them because these things imply a lot of people sometimes. And so exposure actually seems to be effective.
Hey, look at the Maxwell trial. Look what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. Mm-hmm. Whether you think he was abducted or murdered, he's not there testifying. Mm-hmm. Maxwell, they've convicted her. And how many of the clients have they arrested? So people are laughing. It's like a joke now. Where's our DOJ? Right. People are saying, hey, she's the first person in human history to be prosecuted for child trafficking to nobody. I mean, that's how ridiculous it's gotten. So, yeah, they do enjoy a lot of top cover. Mainstream news media won't talk about it. U.S. Marshal Service will make raids, make hundreds of arrests at a time. Dozens, sometimes 80 or 100 children rescued at a time. Mainstream news media won't talk about it. You can see the articles from all the different publications. We'll share that on social media with each other, but you're not going to see that on primetime on Fox News or CNN or any of the others. They just don't cover it. Why? I mean, that affects every single one of us, Byron, but our so-called news outlets aren't covering it, man. That should shock and alarm everybody.
Yes.
When you've got something, look, child trafficking in the United States is generated an estimated $38 to $50 billion a year inside the United States. Now that's selling children. So if it's closer to that 50 billion estimation bracket than the 38, that means it's bigger than all pro sports combined in annual revenue. So I just try to sit and calculate how many children have to be harmed, to what degree, to be sold to generate 38 to 50 billion dollars. And if that doesn't buckle your knees, I don't know what would. If you can't wrap your mind around the level of harm that these sickos are into. So coming from any covert background, you realize a covert operation survives on its secrecy. If you're in hostile territory and the natives learn that you're there running a covert op and what you're up to and where you are, you got trouble. You got millions of people chasing you.
Yeah.
That's the dynamic I'm trying to create for child traffickers in the United States, a hostile, non-permissive environment so that the American people are informed and empowered against it, understand what it looks like, how to report it, and we don't tolerate it anymore. And we dog these traffickers until they find another profession and leave the children alone. It's as simple as that. Stop raping the kids, the sickos.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, there's a quote in the good book, man, and woe to him who harms these little ones. It'd be better for a millstone to be tied around his neck and for him to be tossed in the sea, So, even, some of our best representations of love have absolutely no allowances for this type of behavior.
Yeah. Look, the Bible's absolutely clear about it, man. And those who harm the children are putting themselves deliberately on the side of evil to be thrown in the lake of fire for eternity. And that's not a place that anybody should be willing to go. So that's a bad call.
Yep. No, but anyway, so nonetheless, this is what we're getting into, the nitty gritty, the reality of kind of the evil that's all around us and what we can do as protectors about it. That's what we're going to hit over the next little bit here. And the Sawman's going to be with us at the Protector Symposium. I'm going to run a really quick preview of what we've got coming for you guys, because this software is pretty cool and I can do that. And then we will get into it. Boom. Boom, ladies and gentlemen, the Protector Symposium 5.0 is finally here. The Protector Symposium is a quite legendary live event that goes on in the protection industry where I bring in about 5 of the world's top protection trainers in various disciplines. The infamous Craig Sawman Sawyer is going to be in the house, and he's going to be laying down some wisdom about what it takes to be a modern protector. He's got an amazing background, Navy SEAL, SEAL Team 6, sniper. He's got expertise in shooting, surveillance detection, anti-terror task force operations. Next up, we've got Raul Martinez, who's going to teach you the art of being able to implement, regain control of your firearm in the clinch. Do you know how to actually pull that weapon and implement it in close range? Can you get it back if something happens to it? Next up, we've got Ed Calderon, the infamous, who's going to teach weaponology, which is one of my favorite courses because I believe this course is maybe more dangerous than 90% of the courses that I've taken over my professional career. You're going to learn the ology behind weapons. Next up, we've got Kawa 2 Alpha 2 Quit, who is a Green Beret who's been teaching elite fighting forces the art of close quarters movement, close quarters battle, how to fight with a gun inside of a building. Last but definitely not least, we've got the infamous Instructor Zero coming to us from over the pond. It's an honor to bring him in. I've been wanting to train with him for a long time. He's going to be teaching us how to fight around vehicles. Where do 80% of force encounters take place? They take place in transitional spaces, on your way from your office to your car, on your way from your car to your house, at the gas station. Watch my tactical protection reviews and you will see that 80% of those vehicles are outside around vehicles. That is what we've got coming, man. That's exciting. That's exciting. What do you think about an event like this, Craig, as you see something like this, sir?
Look, I applaud it. Look, if you love people, you want them empowered. Knowledge is power. So this event shares knowledge and empowers the people with how to protect themselves and each other. I celebrate it. It's something that's very needed. So many people have grown so soft now by design. And I applaud anybody that swims upriver and empowers the American people instead. So good on you for putting this on.
Thank you. So that means a lot. I appreciate it. And yeah, no, that's been something that's actually been breaking my heart, is watching just the human decay, man. I was working somewhere the other day, and I was I was like at a water park, and I was just looking at people, like the quality of people, like the baseline, and looking and walking by all these young men, and like they were just scared to look me in the eyes, and I was like, come on, man, I was, trying to give them respect, and just say hello, and the social, little bit of social kind of friction of just looking at someone and saying hi just scared people away. And it's been it's something.
Byron, when you hockey check them and stand over them and say what, they're probably a little intimidated.
Yeah, I know that. I'm just like, man, come on. Like, you want to grab the young man and be like, come on, man.
I know what you're talking about, and it is disheartening to see people. They can't make eye contact. They're intimidated. Their the confidence has been shattered, and it's been done to our society, brother. We do have the ability to fight back, though.
Yeah, 100%. That's what we're doing. I love it. So one of my favorite opening questions, especially with someone like yourself who's been, around the block for quite a while. Who are you at your core? Who is, who's the man behind the work,
Well, for me, I think I'm misunderstood. People see the harder edge of me. And I think that harder edge was developed, number one, because I had a big brother that used to beat me mercilessly. And I grew up in all the harder edge martial arts and boxing and 5A football in Southern Texas and motocross and all of the, that. Okay. So I went off for the Marine Corps and SEAL teams and did the whole that thing, fighting martial arts tournaments and all of it. And so I really found myself in the application of it. But man, as a child, I was a lover, man. My family, would describe how, and a lot of guys probably wouldn't share this because they may be afraid that it would shatter their tough guy image. But I mean, I think I've been around and done too much to care about that anymore. But my family all describes how I would just curl up in my mom or my sister's lap and just hug them and snuggle. I was a lover, man. Mm-hmm. And when you love people, you're willing to defend them and protect them. Mm-hmm. And that's why I went off into the Marine Corps and the SEAL teams to be one of the baddest, meanest, most steely-eyed killers there ever were, to go and eradicate terror before it came here and ruined our peace. And I was so fierce and so dedicated to that notion because I loved the American people so dearly. My friends and family, I was willing to fight to protect them. And so that's ultimately who I am. I look back throughout my life and I've always chosen a job that was a protector job, and so that's obviously who I am at the core. I'm a lot of things other than that. I took a commercial art course in high school for I could have been a commercial artist. I played drums growing up in church and in rock and roll bands, and I love music, and I raced motocross. I won several championships after I got out of the SEAL teams. I got really heavily into motocross and supercross racing. That's kind of my happy place. I love family, and I love shooting, especially long range shooting, teaching people how to read the wind and shoot through high winds and changing wind conditions and consistently hit, and watching the look on their face when they finally figure out that sorcery, that's really, really cool. Yeah. And I enjoy training people and empowering them, whether it's little girls or old ladies or SEAL Team 6 operators or CIA snipers or whichever. I've trained them all, and I enjoy empowering people that want to protect themselves and others. So it's all of those things, but essentially a protector is kind of what I'm wired to do.
No, I love it, man. What you said is perfect. I love that you started there. It's something I've been kind of trying to explain for a while. So it's awesome to hear it, from someone else. But like, I think being a warrior is an act of service. And I think it is our expression of love, man. Yeah. Because that guy who, with no greater love than this, and a man who's willing to lay down his life for his brother, that guy who's willing to do that and go that distance, like we fight, harder and more. Yeah. And it's a high quality of love because you've got to train yourself to be able to to be formidable and all these things. Like it's kind of like it's our love language. I think being a warrior is like an act of service you have to train to be able to do. It's such an honor, you know. It's beautiful.
Yeah, love's a stronger emotion than any other, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a stronger principle. And that's why I believe, and I've always seen that the baddest, most capable warriors were the ones who had a strong love for someone or something that they were defending.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're just a drug addict and you're lost in this world as to who you are, and you're just looking for some, some space to occupy to be a tough guy, what are you fighting for? Where's your real motive?
Mm-hmm.
You'll dabble at it, but you'll never make the giant hardcore contribution that someone will who knows what he's fighting for and believes entirely in it and will lay down his life in a heartbeat because he believes it's that important.
Absolutely. No, I love that. What would you say was your biggest takeaway from the SEAL teams?
Oh man.
Digging.
There are several things, really.
Yeah.
One, that is that your body is capable of so much more than you initially believe it to be capable of.
Yes.
And now in my old age, I could tell you that does come back on you. So there's a price when you make your body do whatever the heck you decide it's going to do.
Yeah.
You can force it
for a while.
It will revisit that upon you in your old age. I'm just here to admit that.
No.
I wouldn't change a minute of it. But secondly, I think the preparation. SEAL team, man, we're not there. There's no chivalry. On guard. And you let him get ready and you begin, like boxing, you punch, and then you step back and you rest and you dance. No, we go, when we stick and move, we put the enemy down and we move on. Mm-hmm. And it's all in the setup. We don't mean for there to be a fair fight. So we train and plan and rehearse to where it is absolutely a done deal, if at all possible. And we go in and we make it happen one time, clean. And doesn't mean that it's clean, but it means that we prepare extensively. And I think that's the biggest takeaway, Byron, from the teams is, hey, if you want something to happen badly enough, you'll put in the work to prepare to make it happen. Like everybody wants to win on game day.
Yeah.
But champions decide that the will to prepare to win is where it's really at. And I think that'd be my biggest takeaway is, man, we prepare.
I love it, man. If they see you, by the time they see you, it's already too late. Yeah. I love it. That's the way to fight, man. There's a lot. I mean, Sun Tzu, all warfare is built on deception, right? We all know that one. That's good stuff, man. That's good. Getting kind of back into this trafficking, kind of world and your experience dealing with terrorism and anti-terrorist task force. Have you seen any parallels between these two kind of animals, between the, because I feel like there might be some connections in there. Can you speak on that?
There absolutely is. I mean, I spent my entire professional career, whether it was, in the Marines, I started to go into force recon and SEAL teams. We're all about counter-terrorism. Made my way all the way to the highest tier 1 level of it. Stayed there for a while. And then even in the Air Marshal Service, it was a counter-terrorist operation. And the same thing in really keeping the State Department officials from terrorist abduction or death. Same thing in the intelligence community. Mm-hmm. So with all of it, I've tried to defend our nation from terror, only to find out that those who are actually suffering the most terror are our own children here in our own country. Mm-hmm. Right now. It's not somewhere else. It's not in a third world country. It is there, but it's also here. Americans spend more money than any other country on child sex, child pornography, and child rape, child trafficking. So I realized that these people that do this to children are sociopaths. They don't care about the children. They could say, like NAMBLA, man-boy love association, I just want to rape the boy so that I can get off. Well, what about the boy? Oh, he'll be fine. No, he won't. I could tell you he's not fine because I talk to him every day now, just about, and it breaks my freaking heart. Byron, men can tell you what they could not articulate when they were a boy, and is that being raped by a full-grown man was absolutely traumatizing. Absolutely shattered their little minds. It's horrifying. Even if you don't see blood and guts and the child isn't black and blue, his little mind is absolutely wrecked because children are not for that. It's very unnatural. They have a natural aversion for it. And that's why the predators spend a lot of time grooming the children and breaking them down. Now, all the way into our school systems, the predators are demanding that our kindergartners be taught how to perform all manner of perversion, how to have anal sex with different toys and all that at kindergarten. That's what the predators want, so that the children are already kind of predisposed to this sort of perversion, so the predators can rape them. It's all bad for the kids. And a human's brain is not fully developed until the ages of about 25 years. So they don't have the ability to advocate for themselves against a full-grown predatory adult. And that's why child rape can never be normalized. Alfred Kinsey's tried to, and you can watch that in our film Contraland. I urge everybody to watch it. It's a good faith public service alert, contralandmovie.com. Please watch it. It's very empowering. But we show you about Alfred Kinsey, how he started this normalization campaign. Well, we have to all link arms, stand in front of the children, say, leave the children alone. And in the schools, instead of teaching them how to be easy victims, we should be educating them on how to resist advances by full-grown predatory adults so that they could grow up healthy and sane and live fulfilled lives instead of trauma victims, because it's absolutely destructive.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. I just don't understand. That was good. That was all good stuff. I'm going to throw this contralandmovie.com here in the chat. You guys check it out. Get some good education right there. This is one of those topics that makes my blood boil. And it's one of those things that's just like probably one of, if not the most righteous battles for a protector to be involved in, is defending those people, those little humans who can't defend themselves. If you have kids, this should really hit home. What type of things can civilians do to try and protect themselves?
Yeah, well, we have a big list of tools on our website, v4cr.org. Go there, look at all the tools that we have. It teaches you what to look for. It teaches you how to safeguard your children, what types of apps are in their phones that may be surreptitious and performing covert functions like facial recognition of your child, covert capture of video of your child, geolocating your child. So, listeners, did you realize that predators can track your child wherever your child goes? If your child's on one of these apps, or your child thinks he's talking to another child, but he's really talking to a full-grown predatory adult that's on one of these problematic apps and tracking your child. So to school, from the school bus, the park, the playground, walking home, going out to take the trash out, predator can stalk your child. Please look at our list of problematic apps, how to find them in your child's phone to protect them. We have to invade our child's privacy enough to make sure they're going to survive to get to adulthood. So those are some things, Byron, and also how to get involved politically. A lot of this is happening because of politics. It's not a political issue, but one side of the aisle is trying to normalize the entire concept of child rape and child harm, and we can't let them. So we have to get involved because they're winning at every step. All of this perversion is happening in our schools. We, the American patriots, are being called domestic terrorists for standing up and asking difficult questions at school board meetings by tyrants who are terrified of us standing up and asking hard questions. So we do have to, from the bottom up, re-engage in the political process like our founding fathers set us up to do. They gave us that empowerment. We have to use it. The other side's using it extensively. They own all the boards from all the panels from the bottom up, man. The neighborhood, what am I trying to say? The neighborhood watch boards, the homeowners associations, the PTA meetings, and all that kind of stuff. The radical left is saturating all of that, so they can control all the access to political positions. In other words, if you or I, Byron, wanted to run for political office, we'd probably never even get to step one, because they'll have everything already checkmated and they'll make sure you don't get there.
Wow.
So that's why it takes so much money to run for office now, because there's these gatekeepers.
Right.
So,
Wow.
but on our website, there's a lot of info on how to get involved, how to get engaged, how to apply leverage on your elected officials so that they serve us, we the people, and protect our children rather than harm them. It's that simple. We have to make our voices known, find out how to leverage our elected officials so that they answer to us instead of the loud, radical other side that wants to harm the children. That's a simple one as well. All that's on v4cr.org.
Wow. Awesome. And I just shot that link in the description as well. We're going to have all these links in the description, but these links are in the comments too, if you guys do want to go and check that out. Yeah, it's been kind of disheartening watching politics, and and I'm like, has it always been like this? And I've just not been tuning in because I was like,
no, it's gotten worse. It's absolutely gotten worse.
Or is it as bad as it looks like it's really getting?
Look, here's the thing. Speaking of Protector and knowledge is power, this is Gen 5 warfare.
Yeah.
What's going on? A lot of people don't understand why things are going so horribly wrong in our country. It's not because the politicians are that stupid. It's because they're working literally for our enemies.
Yeah.
And when you look at the 45 goals that the communists wrote on how they were going to overthrow the United States without firing a shot, it was read before Congress in 1963. We were warned way back then. Yuri Bezmenov gave a series of very powerful lectures. He was a Russian KGB defector. He came here and shared with us their plan and how they're attacking our culture through information warfare. And our culture is what makes our nation strong. So look, everybody, communists can't overthrow the United States with tanks, planes, and guns. They know that we're too strong. So they attacked what made us insurmountable. Our culture, meaning our basic Judeo-Christian values, do unto others as you would want them to do to you. Our faith in God, our patriotism, the nuclear family unit where you have a loving mother and father that raise healthy children. All of that's under attack, and it's by design. And if you look up the 45 communist goals in any search engine, you can read their list of what they've been up to, and you'll be like, oh my God, they've already done it all, and we've let them. So if we just understand that that's what the game is, we can start taking action to counter what they're doing. That's very, very important. You can't understand how to win a war if you don't even know that you're in one. I bet you if you knocked on your two neighbors' doors and said, "Hey, do you realize we're at war? We're under attack." They'd be like, "Where?" They'll be
watching Netflix and eating popcorn. They're going complaining about their Starbucks. No idea.
I mean, literally. So it is Generation 5 warfare. That's how Gen 5 warfare works. It's brilliant and it's effective, and that's why they need the mainstream news media, big tech, social media. They need to control all that to censor the truth so that they can bombard us with the thought processes that they want us to have so that we give up our freedom and liberty without a shot fired. It's happening.
Literally, and it's happening. And when Yuri started talking, you guys have to look up Yuri Bezmenov. I might even just put him in the show notes. It's such an amazing education. But he's like it's like prophetic, because you're watching him in like what looks like the 70s, maybe.
Yeah, so like the early 80s, I think a lot of his lectures were done. G. Edward Griffin did a fantastic job. Highlighting him, as well as writing the creature from Jekyll Island about the Federal Reserve System and what a screw over that was. G. Edward Griffin, I mean, that's what a hero looks like in this day and age. Somebody that brings the truth to the people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we need. What's a good place for people to find truth these days? There's so much misinformation and like social engineering and things like that going on. It's almost like in my mind, I kind of know the script, because I went down that rabbit hole the second I got out of the Marine Corps. I was like, there's something, so I started looking, and I kind of understand where they're pushing us, and it shapes the way I see the world, and it shapes the way I see the messages they're sending me. But like, what are there any good news sources or information sources about there?
Well, One American News seems to be telling it about the straightest of any channels now. Newsmax does all right. I think you know, I listen to people like Dan Bongino, you know, people, Alex Jones is highly controversial, but I think that's because of his antics. He puts on a tinfoil hat and he yells and he screams.
Yeah, but
if
Alex
you look
Jones
at his,
is on top of it, man.
if you take it from a CIA perspective and you, as a source, and you analyze him for accuracy over time, you realize he's way up there, man. Love him or hate him, his information, he told us about all this stuff 20, 30 years ago, and he's been hammering ever since. Look, he's the only one that all the swamp has collectively censored and banned and pushed off of every platform simultaneously. Why would they do that? Unless, if he was just a lunatic making up stuff, he wouldn't have been a threat. They would have been like, he's not truthful. He's going to sink himself. We don't need to do anything.
And they let so much absolute trash exist on their platforms. Like if someone banned from a platform, it is a blaring flag that they must be telling the truth, because they got the crap on these platforms.
They do, even pedophiles and child porn and stuff like that. But you know, Operation Veritas, I like what they're doing. They're exposing, they're capturing the swamp beasts, admitting what they're up to in covert video. Right. I mean, and WikiLeaks is sharing the emails of the swamp beasts so you can read what they've actually written to each other. This is factual information. And when you weigh them over time, they're not getting debunked and discredited, just the opposite. And that's why all the radical left can do is censor and delete them, because they can't discredit them. They have to just hide it. And that's what they do to us and Contraland and everything else. Whenever we start alerting the populace to what's going on, it just gets silenced. That's their only defense. You know, LinkedIn just deleted my LinkedIn account. I'm like, what for? And they posted several times when I asked a question, like, does this make sense? An article, and said, hey, does this make sense, folks? Or does it look like it might be something else? LinkedIn couldn't withstand that. Why is that such a threat? Asking people to think and consider whether something that's being proven false might bear more scrutiny. So those are the sources. I say, you know, always go back to weigh out a source's accuracy over time. That's how you vet them. What have they spent their entire life doing? What's their track record? You know, if Byron Rogers has spent his time in the military and defending people, then it's pretty safe to say that's what he is. He's not a space alien that parachuted, you know, onto Earth from Mars yesterday and eats babies, or whatever these, you know, crazy people, you know, say about me and others online. When, you know, look at the facts, look at a person or an entity's entire track record, what they spend their time doing. Actions speak louder than words. Look at what they've done with their platform, with their lives, and their accuracy over time. That's how you vet information sources in this modern age, where they're a lot more diverse. You can't just turn on ABC News anymore and hear Walter Cronkite or somebody tell you what happened. It's your radicals telling you what to think about what they say happened, and it's like Trump said, fake news. So we delete them and we go and seek out more accurate sources.
Right.
So I'd say, though, that's the way to find more accurate sources.
Yeah. The thing with Alex Jones, I've always wondered if he was like the guy they allowed to tell the truth, but to do it in a way that would make anyone who believes him look crazy too, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think it's unfortunate that he made it silly in some.
But he goes WWF with it, right?
Yeah. I don't know. And maybe if he just tells it straight, he'd put people to sleep, because people have short attention span. So maybe he just has to animate, but but he's, I mean, look at who he has on his show and look at the stories he reveals. And if you don't like him, go to all the others. But I'd say if you find Veritas, you find Bongino, you find WikiLeaks, and a lot of these that are putting out accurate scoop over time, look at who they associate with and who they support. And you kind of grow your net of information sources that way as well.
What would you say? Where do these kids come from with these trafficking situations? Like, where's
they come from a lot of places. Some are runaways. Some are abductions. Some are brought across the border. Some are taken from foster care system. Their CPS will target single moms a lot of times, especially here in Arizona, and take children from their biological parents, put them in the foster care system to get handed off from family to family and then off the books. And that's when they're sold outright and off. Nobody can track them, and they get tortured, murdered, raped, sold, executed, whatever. So there's a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of investigation to be done. And a lot of them too, the fundamentalist Mormons, the FLDS,
Okay.
Warren Jeffs and that entire clan, they traffic children and they harm children. They waterboard children. They one of our personnel in the early days of Vets for Child Rescue had been in on the Texas recovery of over 400 children recovered from the Warren Jeffs cult. And some of those children,
400 children.
Yeah, over 400 children. Yes, the biggest child recovery, biggest child rescue operation in U.S. history. It was in Texas just a few years back.
Wow.
So it was a FLDS cult group, and they traffic their children not only for sex but for labor. So they'll take their own children. They have a bunch of offspring with multiple wives, and then they'll send their children on a circuit from one FLDS compound to another, and they'll use them for labor, and they'll use them to rape the children. And one of the things terrible that they were learning is our personnel was sharing with us that they would take the infants and they would put them under the faucet and under the water and put a napkin over their face until they turned blue, and then slap them as hard as they could, slap them until their hands were turning purple, the child screaming. Then they put them back under the water until they turned blue, and then slap them. And this would go on for hours. And I said, my God, why would any parent do that to a child? And she said they were trying to break them from crying. So can you imagine the psychological trauma, the mush that is made of that little infant's brain, and how all they need is to be loved and held at that point in their life, and the torment and the terror and the hatred of that. My God. So there's a lot to clean up in this country, folks. I'm all about religious freedom, but not when you start harming children. That changes everything. Everything.
Just the thought, just the visualization of that experience was extremely psychologically disruptive. Just the visualization of it. Yeah. That is,
not okay.
That's not okay. That's the stuff that we live to end, So basically the kids are kind of snatched up from different places. And I think that really outlines the importance.
And baby farms. Sometimes some of these cult groups will have young ladies that they rape her again and again, and her job is to birth babies for them that go into their ritual abuse cults, and they do God knows what with those children.
Wow.
So that's why a lot of them are off the books. A lot of them, you can't run the stats on them because you don't know how many they have.
Wow.
And when you look into, and this is a whole dark realm, I don't want to go down this road today, but in the 1930s, the Nazis really perfected the psychological trauma aspect of conditioning people's minds, driving them into schizophrenia because their mind can't accept the horror. Yeah. And once their brain splits once, you can split them again and again and again into dozens of personalities, and then develop those personalities to basically be whatever slave you want. Very ugly, very dark, but pervasive, a lot bigger. We brought them over, these scientists in Operation Paperclip, along with Werner von Braun and those that were some of the founders of NASA. We wanted two things at the end of World War II. They're psychological experts and they're rocket scientists. And those are the ones the Nazis we brought into the CIA and NASA for their expertise. And that's where a lot of this child abuse comes from now, and how they control people. It's ugly. It's got to be cleaned up, folks. We can. The good news is we can do it. Look, one scumbag back in the 40s and 50s really perpetuated a lot of this. Alfred Kinsey was a science fraud. The good news is We can all be champions for children. We can all be like Dr. Judith Reisman. We can all be like my daughter, Aspen Sawyer. We can all do something like Bob Hamer, who went undercover inside when he was in the FBI, went inside of NAMBLA, North American Man-Boy Love Association. He got 8 convictions on their senior pedophiles there.
Yeah.
Put them in prison to rape no more. So we can all be champions for children, do something in our own way. Watch Contraland, learn what's going on, share it with everybody you care about. Go to our website, look at the tools, and then start marching forward. Knowledge is power. I mean, just sharing the truth is one of the biggest things we can all do. It doesn't cost us anything.
Right. No,
That's
I love
the good
that.
news. Yeah,
That's the good news. Let's continue spreading the light and putting light on this thing 100%. Because that's awareness. Oh, like, you don't want to just like be like, oh, well, it's spreading awareness. But like really, the more people know about it, the more people can do about it. And so many people can help in the way that they can help, that we don't know the gifts they have, that what they bring to bear to the fight. And when they know about it, they can also help in their own way.
Yeah, it grows. It's like it accelerates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So a lot of people are like, hey, what's it like sharing a dark truth with people? I'm like, well, it's hard because I don't even want to know about it. Yeah. I'm a hardened killer and I don't want to know about it.
Yeah.
So I can't blame a housewife for not wanting to know that horrible things are happening to children. But look, Byron, if you were my doc and I had a terminal illness, I would need you to tell me.
Yeah. 100%.
I wouldn't be overjoyed at the nature of the information, but I would be empowered by it so that I could begin taking action to change it. Right. And that's what we've got on our plate right now. Our country has a sickness and it's covered up and it's festering and it's growing while it's covered up. So my job is to pull the lid off and shine the sunlight on it. Sunlight is the best antiseptic for corruption. And for all I'm worth, Byron, I'm exposing child trafficking to combat it with everything that I have for the rest of my days.
That's awesome.
It's a privilege.
And it's a privilege. It's an honor. Yeah, that understanding of purpose is everything. A few more questions. You got time for a couple more questions as we roll out?
Send it, man. I'm not scared.
Sweet. Hardest lesson you've learned or moment you've had in the field?
Oh, in the field. Well, thankfully on operations, things have gone quite well. One thing I'll say, it was hard because it was very upsetting to me at the time. I was way back at SEAL Team 1. It was my first platoon. And we were going to do a night jump, and it was a static line jump, and where we hook to the bird and the static line pulls your chute out for you.
Yeah. And
it was in the early days. I only did probably 30 or 40 static lines, and I did another 600 free falls after that. But I asked the parachute rigger, who was a senior guy in our platoon, hey, do I have all the different items I need to lower my rucksack for this operation? He looked at it and he said, yep, you're good to go. And so we jumped on the truck, went to the flight line, and we were getting our pre-checks, and I was rigging up, and a senior chief in charge of our platoon, very hard-nosed dude. And my heart was so good. I wanted to be so good there. And he's looking at my stuff, and I was missing one item. He said, Saul, what the F is wrong with this? You're missing gear, and you haven't even cared enough to check and prepare your gear. And I'm looking at the guy that told me it was good to go. He was the expert.
Yeah.
And I got a chewing like I've never got in my life. And he said, I will never forget that you did this. I will never forgive you for this. And I was like, my God, this is terrible. I don't want to be here right now. I mean, if I could fix this, I would, but I couldn't fix it right then. So that, I think, was the hardest, the most difficult moment, I would say. We weren't in the field yet, but we were about to jump into the field, and that was a very bad experience for me. So I'd say that was a pretty hard lesson learned, to go around and make sure you get multiple checks by friends and going, hey, look, he's the expert. He said it's good to go, but you do a double check, bro? Because I don't want that kind of chewing again. You know what I mean? Yeah, man.
Ultimately, it ends up being our fault. So it's like, man, and I'm the king of it, man, with TBIs and stuff. I'm always like, yo, bro, can you just double check this thing right quick? Because we both know, I am not perfect, man. I'll be like, yo, just check this out. My poor wife has edited more documents and things for me over the years, man. It's, God bless her. Let's see, proudest moment, just in the field or doing what you're doing.
Well, I want to say one of the proudest moments in my life was when our daughter had to testify against her rapist in court. He had abducted her and held her at knife point and raped her again and again all night long. And it took 2.5 years to bring him to court because he fired 14 public defenders and was ultimately allowed to represent himself. And he was berating her and accusing her of every manner of horrible thing that was proven false later, but she had to withstand his interrogation of her on the witness stand. It should have never been allowed to happen. The judge allowed it to happen. But whenever the predator called me to the stand, I said to the prosecuting attorney, I said, look, as a federal criminal investigator, I'm used to testifying on the witness stand. I'm trained to do it. But as a father of my precious little daughter who's a rape victim by this scumbag, I'm not a willing
participant.
Witness. And so I want to come over the witness stand at him. What is it that I can say? What is it that I cannot say? She said, Craig, basically you can't say anything you really want to say. It'd give him the mistrial that he wants. And here's what I'm driving at. Here's why I told this whole story, Byron. She said, if in doubt, follow your daughter's lead. And that was one of the most proud moments of my life because she had testified for over 2 hours to this scumbag's
with him
interrogation.
Them interacting?
Yeah, well, she spoke directly to the jury. She didn't look at him. She spoke directly to the jury like a professional. And I'm telling you, it took extraordinary strength because when we were sitting in the back in this trial and he was up there, the perpetrator doing all his antics, the prosecution gave us these squeeze toys, stress toys, like they look like little toys, but they're foam.
Yeah, like anybody squeeze this thing.
Yeah, so Aspen was sitting to my left, my wife was sitting to my right at one point. This guy was up there saying a bunch of stuff that was absolutely ridiculous and harmful. And my wife nudged me, and I looked at my wife. My wife was like nodding, like looking down at Aspen. And I looked at Aspen, and from the waist up, bro, she was a rock.
Wow.
She was stoic. She was professional. She was in control.
Wow.
But I looked down at her little knees, brother.
Oh, man.
We're shaking. And as a father, I almost lost it. I was like, you got to be kidding me, man. I don't know how I'm going to do this right now.
Yeah.
So
I feel like the system is just so,
yeah.
I mean, any rates, but that's awesome. She hammered through. This guy get convicted.
He got convicted for 68 years. So he will rape no more. And she put him there because all of the evidence came out against him and put him away. All the forensic evidence, the video evidence and so forth.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. That's good. And to see that, your daughter hammer that home and get that done. That's an honor and good on you, man. Cause and lesser man would have just went to jail over the whole thing, you're still able to be with your family and everything else. And,
I think they had like 8 sheriff's deputies in the courtroom when on the day when they were going to sentence him.
Yeah.
Just in case I went off.
Yeah.
I was a little bit flattered that they brought that to me. But a little bit concerned, like, what do you guys not have confidence that he's going to get put away and he's going to be served, But the judge only put him away for the minimal. He goes, I don't see any reason to give him more than the minimum. And this guy was calling the judge bro and calling him by his name. Hey, Javier, you've changed, bro. Whoa, bro, really? Bro, you've changed, Javier. And we're like,
so they were boys?
Why isn't the judge dropping the gavel and saying, you will call me your honor, or I will shackle you and escort you out of this courtroom?
Yeah.
Anyway, but the jury dropped the hammer. I mean, it was guilty on all 7 counts. And he was eligible for several hundred years in prison. So even though the judge only gave him the bare minimum, he's still down for 68 years, and he was already 34. So he'll never get out.
He'd be done training.
So that was one of my most proud moments. I mean, whenever we captured the first Iraqi prisoners of the war, Desert Storm, and my shooting buddy and I, Dino, blew up a lot of anti-shipping mines, and you know, the captains of some of the U.S. naval ships fed he and I steak and lobster at the end of those days, because you know that we'd taken those threats of their ship and personnel out of the ocean that was in their path and things like that. I was proud of all of it. Proud of my teammates and our work and our contributions. And there's a lot to be proud of, but it's just a privilege to serve and just do the work. You know, it's the memories with the guys that really stands out. When we get together and hoist a pint or whatever we do at reunions, we always talk about the stuff that went wrong, the funny, goofy stuff, rather than look at me. I did so cool. This op went perfect. We don't talk about the perfect.
No,
you talk about, hey, remember when so-and-so's gear got hung in the helo and the helo started lifting off and he's yelling, and it was ridiculous. And that's the stuff that we talk about, you know.
That's true, man. That's awesome. No, I love it. Favorite quote, mantra, saying?
Oh man, I have some. I wish I would have written one down. I think, you know, one of the things is that fear is the greatest obstacle that I've seen that keeps people from living out their life's purpose.
Yeah, 100%.
And so if you can overcome that fear, that will allow you to go forward and live out your life's purpose. I know so many people, Byron, that have all of the wealth, all of the success. I know quite a few billionaires. I'm blessed in my life to know a lot of people, and they're not all happy.
Yeah. A
lot of people that have checked off all the blocks that mainstream society would tell you is success in this world. They're empty. Yeah. They're like looking at all the Ferraris and stuff, and they're like, this didn't do it.
They don't care.
But it's in here. And it's when you live out, like, why am I Craig Sawyer on the face of this planet? Why was I born? What can I do? And what do I want to see that I've done when my eyes close for the last time? And I look back on my life. What is it that I'll wish I had done? And for me, that's what I set about doing. What I believe the big man wants me to do. And I ask direction. Just like when you're on a mission, you're asking for comms, like, hey, what's the mission objective? You know, we've crushed target one. Where to go now? Yeah. I'm like, God, what do you want me to do now? And that's what I want to do. And that money can't buy. You know, I quit chasing money so long ago. Yeah. And I would want that for anybody, man, that satisfaction of life purpose. And everybody's journey's different. You know, Byron, you're here to do something a little bit different than I am. And my wife and my children all have different paths. We can be aligned in a lot of ways and have the same beliefs, but our journey, life's journey, is meant to be different. Each test is unique. And so I would encourage everybody to seek out, explore what your life's journey is supposed to be, what your objective is, what you're supposed to do with your life. And man, when you identify that, when you find out what it is and you fixate on that and you start taking action, there is nothing that will bring you a peace and a satisfaction, no matter the war around you. In your soul, man, you will feel like, man, I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And money can't buy that, man. I don't need the Ferrari in the driveway anymore. Yeah. I got something that money can't buy. And it may sound funny to a young man that hasn't lived and known that to be true, but I'm telling you, folks, I hope that you hear me and pursue that. Because it's great.
It's everything.
It's everything. Yeah.
I mean, that was like church for like 5 whole minutes.
I didn't mean to preach, but I mean, hey, truth is truth.
I was about to start saying it again over here.
When you find out good news, you want to share it with people you care about, right?
It's so true, man. And that's what my brand's all about, is just trying to help people understand, like, you can do this stuff, but that purpose piece is so huge, and you unlock fulfillment on a daily basis as you make progress. And I've since I was 21, I've been working for billionaires, and I'm 36 now, so I've been sitting on these private jets, just watching them walk around, and I can second everything you're saying. It's exactly where I've had multiple times where they sit down next to me and I got my little computer and I kind of look over and they're like looking at me like, you're happy. You know, like you're like you with your little stupid computer on my jet. You're like fine, and I'm stressed out about everything, you know. And I'm just like, you know, need anything, sir? You know, can I get you some water? You know, and it's that purpose and grace of God and being able to lean into why you're here on the planet, man. If you understand why, you can endure anyhow a lot of it, you know. So.
Yeah,
I love this stuff, man. That's magical. That's good. Yo. Well, my last question was, how do you want to be remembered when the dust settles? You kind of dropped some bombs on that, but if you were going to articulate it, how would you like to be remembered? What's it all for?
Man, I would say, I would want to be remembered as really a protector, a defender of the defenseless. I can't think of anything I would want on my gravestone more than that. Here lies a guy that just decided to dedicate his life to defending those who couldn't defend themselves.
Yeah.
A right fighter. My wife calls it right fighter. She goes, we're right fighters. I'm like, talk to me. What do you mean by that? She goes, well, look at all these predators, financial predators, sexual predators, psychological predators. They go stomping on people and destroying everybody in their life's path because they can. And everybody takes the easy path out of it until they run into us.
Yeah,
we are the only ones that eventually stop them because it's out of principle. We're right fighters, and we put these predators out of business. We take their profession and their ability from them to destroy further lives, including our own. Yep. And I think right fighter is a pretty good thing to be.
That's awesome. Protectors of the white blood cells in the body of humanity, man. We get it done. A right fighter. That's cool. Awesome. And final question, what are you up to these days and where can people find you other than at this upcoming event?
Yeah, well, we just finished our doc series. We're well into our radio show talking about how children are in harm's way and how to protect them. Defending Our Children is the name of both of those, the TV show and the radio show. And we're about to start our documentary series. So we got 3 strong production companies all competing to do this and running additional joint operations. Greg Phillips from True the Vote just announced yesterday on Truth Social, our alliance, to utilize his technology for our operations. And there are others as well that we don't talk about. So there's a lot of the bigger operations coming up, utilizing different horsepower that we have access to us and allies and the doc series. So that's what we're primarily up to now is taking more predators off the streets and filming it in a series to alert the American populace as to what they need to know so they can help fight in their own way too.
Yeah.
So it's all encompassing, and our family's healing and growing closer than ever before from, the trauma we were put through, or our daughter was attacked, and all the trolls out there on social media that, whenever you step into enemy territory and you start doing good, obviously evil's going to bite back at your heels. And so you'll see these nasty trolls try to smear you just like they did Donald Trump or anything else. And accuse you of everything under the book, and a lot of them are just getting trounced with factual evidence. That's kind of nice to see. You don't even have to address it after a certain point. People will just the facts take on a momentum of its own, and the trolls just can't compete after a few minutes. So,
well, it's beautiful how I'm not righteous, but if you're not doing anything wrong and the truth is the truth, I've learned you just kind of just sit back and you let it protect you. The truth is there.
It's pretty convenient, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll look at the comments sometimes and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I'll just be like, you know what, just keep hammering. What you're doing. You know where your heart is. Over time, they'll see your heart. And then after a while, it's just being in right standing defends you. It just becomes blatantly obvious. You're just trying to do good work for good people, And again, I love
and that's another point for everybody. And I said it before, I'll just hammer it again, because I think it bears repeating. Look at the person. If you're looking to try to assess anybody, look at their life's behavior, their decisions. That's what they truly care about.
Yep.
They will do with their life what they value doing. And when they've spent their life doing something, even if it's a wildlife conservationist, if he spent his whole life over in Africa conserving wildlife and sacrificing to do that, it doesn't stand up to reason if someone said he's the opposite of that online, right? Talk is cheap. So look at someone's lifetime of behavior. Again, actions speak louder than words. And that's how you can really assess what someone's about. I mean, it should be common sense, Byron, but some people, they get 100% of their information online in these chat groups, and they don't bother to vet the sources or
those clicks, man. Those clicks. Well, I mean, kind of real, I promise we're wrapping this up, but like, you know, back to the television and like the propaganda machine that it is, and then the cell phone, and then like the operant and classical conditioning. And then you think that like most Americans, I thought I read like less than like 6% of Americans read a book after high school. And we know high school wasn't really an education. So people's whole entire world is shaped by these things. And so I think that's why, you know, the social engineering, they're so underprepared psychologically to defend themselves or think critically, you know?
And I think we've shared a lot of good tips here, good information, how to get to the truth and overcome a lot of that disinfo. It's because knowledge is power, man. And you want it.
Knowledge is power. Boom. So Craig, Sawman, Sawyer, man, it's been an honor to spend this time with you. I can't wait to shake your hand in Arizona and Tucson when we get after it, and at this upcoming Protector Symposium 5.0. We're also going to have a hard skills intensive, you guys, on the back end of that. So some of you guys are coming out for the full 11-day jump, which is pretty amazing. It's been an honor and a privilege, sir. Thank you so much. And I look forward to whipping it on when we get out there. All right, y'all, go to protectorsymposium.com and get those tickets while they last.
Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to get after it. I look forward to it as well. And everybody listen, I hope to see you there.
Heck yeah. Sounds good. All right. Out, y'all. We'll holler at you soon.